Sup everyone, welcome back to another video, and today I have an amazing video for you guys. However, if I want to talk about everything and hit on every single point that I have laid out here in front of me, I mean I have a notepad, it's just like 20 different things I need to say. I don't think I can really fit in one video without it being like 30-40 minutes long. That's just how I feel, and even if I edit it all down, I think it's still gonna reach around, I would say, 30 minutes, right? So I think I'm gonna likely do a two-part video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Alhaitham and Hu Tao in a way where like I want to start us off by defining this comparison, because the biggest thing I see with people in the comment section would be two parts. One part would be like, oh, well, it's very difficult to make this comparison, Walrus. I don't think it's fair. People talking about the fact that I'm comparing these two units, even though they're not DPSs in a similar category, and like their strength weaknesses are completely different. They benefit your account in different ways, so it's very difficult to evaluate the merits of these characters in such a manner, right? So I'm gonna kind of break the mold on that in this video. And the other side of people will be talking as if they have like the most unique situation and account that they just have further questions. So I don't think I can be as detailed oriented in one video while also addressing all the concerns and whatnot. So this video is going to address all the concerns and set up this comparison while talking about our contestants a little bit. Think about this: if it was a boxing match, we're introducing the contestants, talking about their feats, their accomplishments, things to look out for, and how to kind of address certain concerns with your account prior to us just diving in part 2 when it comes to this video, where I would go into details with compositions, weapons, and all that stuff, and really do the nitty-gritty stuff to figure out which character is going to be ideal for you. Please let me know if you guys enjoy this format. I used to just kind of wing it and do it in one, where I don't really talk about the stuff, the prep and everything, so a lot of newer players get lost, whereas veterans can benefit a little more. But then people who are like against this kind of video, they kind of just go off on a tangent and being like, oh, right? So you get many people in the comment section, most of which are asking questions, some of which are kind of just arguing with each other about the existence of these kind of videos. In my opinion, let's just get this out of the way. I do think videos like these have merits only when these characters are so close in proximity when it comes to their banners, right? And the reason why I'm not saying, oh, Alhaitham versus Yelan is because then truly they are in a different category. Well, if you guys want that video, comment down below, but I don't think it's necessary, right? I think Alhaitham is much closer akin to Hu Tao, to when people building their accounts, they need main DPS, on-field DPS. So trying to fill this slot, people are going to be looking towards great options. And whereas I used to think Alhaitham likely is not going to reach Hu Tao's level, after playing, building him up, even more testing, just constantly testing for the past like 2-3 days non-stop, trying him in different compositions. Yes, he currently is reaching that Hu Tao level, and I can show you guys clips and stuff of him accomplishing great things. But right now people also say that the Abyss is favored towards his playstyle, so maybe it's gonna take multiple Abysses to really be able to show, well, how consistent is he, right? It's not enough for a character to be strong in one Abyss. He can't be a one-hit wonder. You got to be able to consistently perform. That's what investing is called. Nobody's investing for this one Abyss. If you're pulling Alhaitham, you're leveling him up, you want him to succeed through multiple Abysses, and that's something Hu Tao has. Like, we're talking about feat and accomplishments, right? That's something Hu Tao has accomplished over and over since the 2 years she's been released. She's a very consistent character. She may not be like Kazuha level, she may not be like top tier with over 70 usage rate. She's a consistent 35-40% usage rate unit over the last 2 years. That is something to be proud of. If you're a Hu Tao player, you can proudly say, well, I've invested into one of the most consistent characters in the game. Whereas nowadays you look at the Dendro characters, the Dendro units, right? Kuki Shinobu, being a 4-star character, has surged up in usage rate since the arrival of Sumeru. All Sumeru characters have a great and decent usage rate. Yes, even Sino, even people you would think are not as good, like Scaramouche. Again, they've only been out for like a patch or two, so it's very difficult to evaluate them on the basis of consistency. So when we talk about Alhaitham versus Hu Tao, I want you guys to think about them in the category of just main DPSs. Yes, Hu Tao is considered more of a hyper carry, and Alhaitham can be played both as a sustained on-field carry, which you can argue like, yeah, hyper carry, but like not really. But he has rotations that can allow him to stay on the field for like 18 seconds plus, and he also has rotations where you kind of just offload everything in like 7 and 8 seconds and you're gone, you're off. He has 2 different playstyles, and even then his damage potential can rival that of Hu Tao's given certain unique situations. Like I said, both of these characters have their strengths and weaknesses, so I hope you guys understand that there is a merit to comparing these two. It will benefit people both in the short term and the long term for their account progression. Okay, and that being said, you guys have to also understand that different people will have different accounts which will yield different results based on what I'm going to say, and this will be fleshed out much more in the part 2 of this video series, which I will likely release either tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. All right, so I hope you guys understand that you know, this is not a cookie cutter thing. Genshin is not a cookie cutter thing. It's not like I'll give you one advice and everybody can take it and just apply it and it's gonna work wonders for everybody. Not necessarily. So understand that really you have to be close and akin to what your account is currently lacking, right? Let's say if you're somebody, and you know who you are, if you're somebody who has like 7-8 main DPS cards, you have Sino, you have Scaramouche, you have Ito, you have like all these characters, and now you don't have Alhaitham, you don't have Hu Tao, and you're like, which one should I pick up? Really, the question here is either of them the right choice for you? I know I'm using a very extreme example, but just to get the point across is that you're going to have a different account than Billy, who's, you know, swipes his mom's credit card every other month for $200-300 versus you, who's surviving on the Welkin Moon. It's just different resources as well. It's not simply just account compositions, right? So just tune out all the BS from other people. Be like, oh, look at me, everything. But look at your account and understand the strengths and weaknesses so we can continue without you being heavily influenced by somebody else's account's decision. Okay, now let's talk about the strength and weakness of Alhaitham and Hu Tao. So next video, we don't need to talk about this stuff anymore. The strength when it comes to Alhaitham, I've highlighted in previous videos, but I'll just say it here, is that he is so damn flexible. I'm not talking about like yoga flexibility. I'm talking about like utility flexibility, team compositions, being dendro, and all the 9 yards, right? This character is designed to make your life easy in a way. And that is not something that Hu Tao really has going for her, right? Hu Tao's team compositions are much more unique and particular. She's much more of a picky unit for you to have to play. Like, not only are her team comps very unique and demand certain characters, she also has a certain playstyle which you have to essentially master. Like Alhaitham, a lot of people would say this is a weakness as well, is that he also has a very unique playstyle for you to master, and it took me so many days just like trying to figure this out. Like, is it better to let all his mirrors tick down and just continuously do damage on field, or is it better to just offload when you get to like 1 mirror, 2 mirror, you just use his burst and stuff like that? Rotation. This stuff is like it. We'll go over more details in part 2. I promise you guys. I'll talk about Alhaitham rotations, I'll talk about Hu Tao rotations, but let me tell you guys, both of these characters, if you guys don't like complexity in their kit and playstyle, this is going to be a weakness for both of them for you guys. If you guys like characters such as Ito, if you guys like characters such as Ayaka, if you like characters such as Ganyu, who like have very straightforward kits, right, you're not going to really find it enjoyable at first to pick up Alhaitham or Hu Tao. But I do think Hu Tao likely has more nuance, because you can be severely punished for not wanting to learn animation canceling. So, and I'm telling you this right now, I don't think there's another character in the game that prioritizes animation cancels as much as Hu Tao. That's also at the top of the meta, meaning that you won't find another unit who is as competitive as Hu Tao in the meta, who also demands such an insane amount of BS when it comes to playing her. You guys would say, oh, but Klee also, but yeah, like Klee is not at the top of the meta, right? You could have other insane animation cancel units, which likely are even more annoying than Hu Tao, but nobody at the top of the current meta will demand such a unique and absurd playstyle. Okay, that's Hu Tao, and she's not even at the top of the meta. She's just very consistent and a great unit to consistently rely on. Why? Because HoYoverse always puts these like few units in the abyss that are like thick with 5 Cs. I'm telling you, like, they're thick boys in the abyss. So Hu Tao's biggest weakness is her single target. She's a unit that hits like 2 characters at best at the same time. Like, that's if you're aiming well and skewering them. And of course, the second one that you hit is not going to get vaped, right? So she gets heavily punished when there are a ton of units in the chamber. I think once you get like 4 or plus, Hu Tao starts to struggle, right? Like, there's much better options than Hu Tao. But HoYoVerse, because they don't want to have a situation like Abyss 12 where there's like waves of mobs of monsters so people can take advantage of Venti just completely dominating the room, they always bring like really thick tanky boys, and sometimes they'll have like 2 waves of them. They'll first spawn 3 or 4, and then they'll spawn like another 5 or 6. Right? In those cases, Hu Tao does start to struggle, but in Alhaitham's case, not so much. I wouldn't see Alhaitham struggling as much, especially with the arrival now of Nahida, being able to link all the units together, and his Chisel Mirror playstyle. I do think Alhaitham is going to have a leg up over Hu Tao. That being said, Alhaitham is not like a huge AoE monster as well, because you do need to group the enemies, right? For example, if you guys remember back to I remember it's the samurais. They spawn the samurais in Abyss, and then like the samurais are so spread out, and then there's like 2 waves of them. You gotta kill them twice. In that unique scenario, having an Nemo character on your team is going to be immensely beneficial, and neither Alhaitham nor Hu Tao runs Nemo groupers in their team. Like, I'm just highlighting severe drawbacks that you guys will likely see. So I think Alhaitham and Hu Tao falls into a similar category, is where they deal very well with fewer monsters. Alhaitham a little better than Hu Tao. Let's say Alhaitham can deal with 3, 4, 5 well, but like you give them 8 units that are kind of spread out shooting them, both of them are going to suffer somewhat. Okay, in those unique scenarios, Nemo groupers are still going to dominate. You're going to see the Kazuha comps, Venti comps, the elemental comps are still going to come through and dominate. That's just Genshin Impact, right? I'm just highlighting to you guys, that's just how HoYoVerse designed the game. And that's why I say in the beginning of the video that after playing Alhaitham, I've come to realize that he is more akin to Hu Tao than he is some like random elemental carry, because his weaknesses and Hu Tao's weaknesses, oftentimes I'll see them align with each other, as you guys have seen, like play styles, like strength weaknesses when it comes to enemy compositions and Abyss challenges. So here's the thing though, when it comes to both of their strength, this is the biggest strength that I think both of them also kind of share, is ceiling. And what do I mean by ceiling? Like, they have a big house. Kidding, okay? The ceiling, what I mean is their DPS ceiling. Both of these characters have insanely high DPS ceilings. I'm sure you guys have seen at low constellations that Alhaitham and Hu Tao can both one cycle the Golden Wolf Lord. And that's absurd, right? That's quite insane. Both of these. Now, the more impressive one I would have to say is Alhaitham, because he can do it with like 4-star supports, whereas Hu Tao likely would require more help from her teammates to one cycle the Golden Wolf Lord. Which then brings me to the conclusion, right? At the end of this video, let's finish it off by addressing DPS, because this is another thing I don't want to like dwell on in the next video. Next video, the second we get into it, is going to be like comparison showcases and all this stuff. When I talk about DPS, damage per second means damage dealt per second. So it doesn't matter if you do damage for 20 seconds or damage for 3 seconds. If you just take 1 second out of this entirety and measure it, that's going to be a consistent representation. But you see, a character like Alhaitham, his initial DPS is going to be higher than like his 7th second DPS. As his mirrors start to deplete, you're going to notice Alhaitham's damage start to fall off, and there are rotations to fix this, which we will of course get into in part 2 of this video, where that if you use his elemental skill after his burst, you can then replenish mirrors to get back to 3 mirrors and have his DPS sustained at the highest level. And DPS is going to be the biggest thing when talking about these 2 characters, because if you mess up your rotation for any of them, kiss your DPS goodbye. Like, it just goes down the drain. Very punishing. Both of them are extremely punishing units. So with that being said, I hope I've prefaced this well enough for you guys. If you have any more questions, comment down below, but make sure to subscribe. Stay tuned for that next video, where it's going to be more examples, comparison heavy, and I don't feel like I'm going to address any of this anymore. So if you guys have watched the video, go into the next one, likely you're going to be more prepared and just have less clutter in your mind. Okay, Thank you guys so much for watching. I know this has been a long one. Till next time, Bridgewater, stay safe. Peace, bye.